when he was a little kid, he had a vision. God gave him a vision of he was going to become king. And when he becomes king, you know, he had a dream about him in his farm with his family and brothers, and they're making bundles of wheat. And out of nowhere, the bundle that he was working on stood upright. And everyone else's bundle, everyone in his family's bundle, started walking to his bundle and bowed down to his bundle. So his brothers were like, what? So you're telling us that you're going to reign over us? And like, of course they didn't like that, because Joseph was already a favorite of Israel. So they were like, and then he had another dream from God where the sun and the moon was bowing down to him. And then he tells his brothers again, and his brothers didn't like it. So they ended up conspiring like to kill him. They wanted to kill him. So during the day, like killing someone is it's a merciful thing to kill someone. But instead they did something worse. They sold him to be a slave, because what's worse than being killed is to be a slave during that time, to work for someone. So they sold him to Egypt, but instead of like actually being depressed, like if I get sold to someone to be a slave, I would be so mad and sad. But he wasn't, because God already gave him a vision of what his future was gonna be. He was gonna be a king. So he gets sold to the head of like Egyptian like guards, and the guard saw that God was with him. So he made him that head of the house. So he already had power only because he already saw God doing things for his life. And then after that, like, you know, every time there's something good happening to you, there's always going to be haters, or like people that's resisting towards you. It doesn't matter what you're doing, good or bad, or there's always someone there. So the guy's wife, his master's wife, wanted him really bad. Like, he wanted to have sex with him. And he keeps saying, no, God is with me, like, I'm not going to sin, like, you're not worth it. But like, so the lady ends up making this weird story that she got raped by him. So the guy, his master, was pretty much the leader of the guards, right? So he sends Joseph to the prison, the king's prison. And from there, the prison guards saw that God was still with him, and they made him leader of the prisoners. And they just gave him like a good life. And then the story is pretty much, he ends up translating the dream that the Pharaoh had. And the Pharaoh was like so mad because he had this dream about his kingdom and it going to like famine, and like he needed help to interpret the dream. And Joseph was in the prison interpreting people's dreams. So the Pharaoh asked him to go back and like, so he comes up to him and interprets his dream and tells the Pharaoh that, okay, for 7 years you're gonna have a very wealthy kingdom, okay? A wealthy kingdom, and after that, another 7 years you're gonna have a famine. Pretty much everything dies. So he becomes pretty much the king. Joseph pretty much becomes the king. And it's just crazy how, you know, if you get a vision, or if you fixate on your goal and nothing brings you down, because he was a slave, like, you know, he got betrayed by his own family, everything. And like, he still becomes a king. And like, it doesn't matter what you go through. And like, I was telling her this, we were at Serenade, and we were studying, and I had to poop. So I had to poop.